YouTube. I'm going to talk about my labour and delivery story, which was about 6 months ago. So let's see if I can actually remember everything that happened. I was 39 weeks and 5 days, I think. Woke up, it was a Saturday morning and I had my antenatal appointment to go and see the midwife. When my fiance and I woke up, it was about 7 o'clock in the morning and we did the deed because I thought, I'm going to give birth. When's the next time we're going to be able to do it? Another 4 weeks at least, which turned out to be 4 months until I felt good again. So after that we got ready and we left because the appointment was at 11:30 in the morning. In the car I started to feel some contractions which were like Braxton Hicks, but they felt a little bit stronger. We got inside and it was a different midwife to the one I usually had. I had to walk over to the bed. Suddenly the contraction just got really hard. Felt it from the top of my belly all the way down. It was just contracting my stomach so tight and the pain just kind of shocked me. I was like, oh my god, what is this? The pain is supposed to be worse. And she told me the baby seemed to be in a better position than last time because she was sort of breech and I had to go on my hands and knees as often as I could and just lean forward and try to make her go into a better position for birth. I also had to walk a lot, but it was so hard to walk. When you're 39 weeks pregnant, the last thing you want to do is go for a walk. You just want to sit down and just be a big, huge pregnant blob. Well, me anyway. At the end you're just like, no, absolutely not. Before we left the hospital, the midwife said to us to just see how my contractions go, stay at home for as long as I can, drink a lot of water, eat, sleep, just to rest and relax and try to store all my energy. We went past Macca's to get a big huge cup of ice. During the end of my pregnancy I had this obsession with crunching ice cubes and they had to be McDonald's ice cubes. Oh my god, it felt so good just to crunch ice cubes all day long. It was amazing. Probably not so good for my teeth, but really good because instead of drinking water, which is really boring and I find kind of hard to do, the ice cubes really help to keep me hydrated and it was better than snacking on actual McDonald's and getting fat. Got home about 2:30 and I was like, oh my god, my contractions are getting a bit worse, but I'm gonna stay home and rest and relax. Around 5 p.m. found it hard to talk. I was shocked from the pain. When I had a contraction, my fiance had to be there. I had to be holding his hand. He was cooking spaghetti bolognese, so I would have something to eat and I'd have some sort of energy because if I was going into active labor I probably wouldn't eat for a long time and I'd be starving by the time the baby was born. And I was actually sitting in this very chair and I was timing my contractions. I was writing them all down. Sometimes they were like 1 minute apart, but then they went to 5 minutes apart, so they were very irregular. And I was calling the hospital saying, should I come? And they were like, just stay home for as long as you can because it'd be better than for me to go all the way back to the hospital, which is in the city about almost an hour away, and they'd say, oh, sorry, you're not having the baby, go back home. Then around 7 o'clock I was like, crap, I've packed the hospital bags. We've got 3 bags in total. We put so many things in these bags and we didn't even use 98% of it. I was looking at my list that I had compiled months ago. My fiance had to look through the screen because I couldn't talk, I couldn't get up and pack. I'm sitting there breathing. Then I was like, crap, I need birth music. I was so unprepared. One of my friends told me that Norah Jones is great for labour music, so here I am downloading Norah Jones and Eric Clapton. Put it all on my phone. We left. I was listening to the music in the car. Then I decided Eric Clapton is crap. I only like 1 or 2 of his songs. I deleted all of the albums I put on my phone and just kept Norah Jones. Got to the hospital and we saw a midwife at the counter. She seemed nice. At that stage, she greeted us by saying that there were too many women giving birth tonight and there was no room for me. So they had no room for me to go into to be in labour. I had to go to the waiting room while they shoved another woman out and cleaned the room and then gave me a room. Here I am having the worst contractions in the world at supposedly the best hospital in Sydney or Australia, and they have hardly any rooms for women to give birth in. So I'm sitting in the waiting room on the most uncomfortable chair you can imagine. About 5 minutes later, another woman who was in labour came in the room and I'm like, oh my god, am I going to be giving birth in the waiting room? 1 hour later. Comes up to us and says there's room for us. We go in, it's actually a consultation room and not an actual labor and delivery room. She says she wants to do a cervical examination on me. Now the thing about me is because I've got a bicornuate uterus, I have 2 uteruses and 2 cervixes. So I was worried about how that would work. I was lying down in the bed, my fiance's on my left hand side. She just grabbed my legs, pinned them down with her hands, just shoved 2 fingers inside me. I don't even think she lubricated it. Oh my god. Worst pain. I'm telling you now, it was worse than the actual labor. She killed my life. I've never ever experienced so much pain that I've cried instantly. Suddenly I had tears flowing down my face. That has never ever before happened to me in my entire life. And I screamed and I said, please stop, you're hurting me. And then she kind of just smiled and went in even further. I felt really violated. It was disgusting. My fiance was like, he just kind of sat up, and I knew he was confused because he's confused about the pain. Oh, is it supposed to hurt like that? And I didn't know, and he didn't know, and he kind of wanted to tell her to stop, but at the same time he didn't know what to do. So anyway, she was really angry and she was like, you're not cooperating. I'm going to get another midwife because you're too tight down there. You're just not cooperating with me. And I was like, thank God she's going to get someone else, because she was horrible. She should not be a midwife. She should not have her job. I've already reported her, and oh, she still has her job there, which is disgusting. People like that should not work in hospitals looking after women in labor. About 5 to 10 minutes later, an elderly woman comes in. She was so lovely, she was so nice. She told me to just relax and just to breathe, and instead of pinning my legs down, she let me relax and do that myself. And she was really gentle with me, and I was in there for a few hours going through so much pain and just trying to breathe. An overwhelming feeling just came over me because you don't expect the pain to be what it is, and it just takes over your body. You're not yourself anymore. You are just in this bubble of pain, and I'm like, I can't do this. How am I going to go through this? This is the beginning, and I have like God knows how many hours to go through the pain. And I told myself before labor that I would try my best not to go through drugs. I know I probably would have the epidural, but I wanted to go as far as I could with the pain, just so I could say, hey, I did it. I had a few midwives come and go. It was just all a blur, really. That elderly midwife, she left the room. So at midnight, I finally had my own room. After waiting almost 3 hours in the consultation room, I finally went into the labor delivery room. And I remember them telling me to go and walk to speed up the labor, and that wasn't for my benefit. I think they only told me that because there were so many women giving birth that night or in labor that night. They needed rooms. They really wanted everyone to have a baby ASAP, which didn't help me, you know. I'd rather go through it nice and steady and naturally. Plus, when you're having contractions and you're in that much pain, it is almost impossible to walk. I was like, I'm not getting up and walking. Are you kidding me? If anyone can do that, seriously, you deserve a trophy. But I could not walk during contractions. No way. I was lying down in the bed and I was like, I'm staying here and staying on my bed. When I could talk anyway. I could only talk in between contractions. During the actual contraction, I couldn't talk. My fiance had to be my voice, which is a really good tip for anyone that's going to go through labor. When you are going in labor, you really need a support person there, either your partner or your mother or your sister or your brother, somebody there who knows what you want and can speak for you when you can't talk. For example, when I was having a contraction, I did not want anyone to look at me or talk to me or talk at all. If I heard someone talking, I felt like I was in 1,000 times more pain. And the annoying thing was, a lot of the midwives, they knew that, so they would just stare at me and wait for the contraction to end, which kind of put me on the spot and made me feel, you know, I don't know, it just wasn't a good feeling. It's like when I was going through the contractions, I just wanted everyone to just look away. Just keep quiet, don't look at me, don't talk to me. But everyone's different. That's how I was dealing with my pain. Just wanted my fiance holding my hand and to listen to the beautiful music. So every now and then a midwife would come in and check my cervix, and every single time I was like, oh my god, please don't be like that midwife. Please be really gentle with me. That was pretty much the only bad thing about my labor. So around 1 o'clock in the morning, a midwife came in and asked if I'd like to go in the shower, and I was like, yes, that would be fantastic. I think the water would really help my pain. So my fiance helped me get off the bed, I'm like walking over into the bathroom and there was a shower plastic bath seat, so I sat on it. I had one force on my tummy with my left hand, and with my right hand I took the faucet from the bathtub, and it was like long and flexible, and I just turned it on and threw it over my back. So I had it like hanging over my back here, and over my tummy I was just holding it. I was just going like this, just trying to massage my tummy with the water, and I was in so much pain. Oh my god, I was throwing up because of the labor. Oh, it was just the worst feeling. The midwife asked me if I wanted to have gas, and I was like, alright. And I heard stories about gas that make you throw up, and I was like, well, I'm throwing up anyway, so if the gas can help a little bit more throw up doesn't really faze me. And she wheeled in this huge tank into the bathroom and had a long tube, so I had that over my mouth and I just breathed that in. From the start of every contraction you'd breathe in, and then when my contraction ended I'd be all loopy and high, and I'd be like woohoo, I'd be all happy, you know, no more pain. But then there were 2 clocks, and I remember looking at both of them and I was like, oh no, and I used to see the hand ticking over and I'd be like, uh-oh, contractions coming again. The gas did nothing for the pain. You still feel the pain. That's so excruciating. It feels like you are going to die. You feel it from the top underneath your breasts all the way to the bottom of your stomach, down your lower back, and then I started feeling it all the way down my legs as well. It was excruciating. And my biggest problem was I would scrunch up. So whenever I had a contraction I'd be scrunching up like this, which wasn't very good, but it's so hard to just unscrunch and make your body feel like you're not really experiencing a contraction. My fiance was sitting at the end of the bathtub in front of me while I had the faucets on, and he was falling asleep, the poor thing. I wanted him to rest actually, so then when the baby did come he'd be awake and, you know, be able to function. And every now and then a midwife would come in and just check me. And another thing was I didn't like to be touched when I was having a contraction, and my fiance told them that and I told them that. But sometimes when they'd come and check me, one midwife especially, she would come and she'd put her hand on my belly, and I just got the shits after a while, and I just took her hand off and just threw her hand off, and I was like, don't touch my belly. Another midwife, she touched my belly and she started tapping it. And that's the worst. You're having a contraction, you're in so much pain, and someone's there tapping you. Oh, my baby's awake. I gotta feed her and I'll be back.